fight, flight, or freeze. Trauma comes in various forms and can impact people in many different ways. However, it is important for us to identify this trauma, validate its significance, and then find healthy ways to heal from it. Joining us from McNulty Counseling and Wellness to guide us through this journey is Rachel DeStefano, a licensed mental health counselor. Welcome back to Bloom, Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to see you. So how do we define trauma and how does it impact our lives?
Absolutely. So trauma is kind of tricky, but there's two main categories that we can see it in. And the first one is what we call our big T traumas. So these are the things that you and I would probably agree upon as traumatic. They're the quote-unquote obvious ones, right? So car crash, verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, the death of a loved one, a natural disaster. So those are our big T traumas. But then where it gets kind of tricky, like I said, and a little bit more nuanced is what we call our little T traumas. So these tend to get invalidated and dismissed. These might be your kid that grows up in a household that doesn't feel like they have a choice or a voice, a society that stresses perfection, so either I'm perfect or I'm not good enough. It might be a relationship where my emotions get shut down or my needs aren't being met. And what this does is it creates a culture where we don't feel safe. And so trauma can also be seen as a lack of safety, whether this is emotional safety or physical safety. And what this does is it creates a fight, flight, or freeze reaction in our bodies. And it kind of puts us on high alert. And when that happens is we tend to have a reactiveness to life versus a responsiveness. We tend to survive, but we don't really thrive.
Rachel, I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned, and it really stuck in my head, that small T's get invalidated and people don't take them seriously. Sometimes I think that's the person themselves dealing with the small trauma, not validating that they've been through it, not facing it. Maybe you mentioned childhood, might not want to go back and revisit those days where you felt traumatized or something happened to you that keeps you stuck. But by not going back, as hard as it may seem, and revisiting it, you're never going to heal what's happened to you, and it manifests itself in other ways throughout your life.
100%. We almost become the abuser of ourself in that scenario, which is really twisted, right? Now I'm doing to self the very things that maybe other people have done to me. And that's where we kind of get into what we call our inner child work. I almost have to nurture myself and reparent myself, heal that part of myself that's been wounded, give it validation and credit in order to heal.
Yeah, that is really, really important. So tell me a bit about the Accelerated Resolution Therapy program that you offer. I know that's very advanced. I know it really has helped our military with PTSD. And now everyday people can kind of tap into this. And I think it's important to say, the big T's are the big T's. I mean, we're talking a lot about major trauma issues, but I'm so glad this is now readily available to others for smaller T's.
Absolutely. So you sound like you did your research. Accelerated Resolution Therapy is a newer therapy, but I have seen it do incredible things. So ART relies on what we call rapid eye movement. So it would be if I was sitting across from you and kind of moving my hand in front of your eyes, and it's not hypnosis, you're fully awake, you're fully alert, but what it does is it facilitates right-left brain connection. So it allows the brain and the body kind of to shift and rewire the way that we remember the trauma. We don't forget it, but those problem sensations, emotions, and feelings that we have regarding the trauma become less. And so we might have those images that haunt us, those flashbacks, those loops that kind of play on repeat, and it helps us to erase and replace them. And then the other beautiful thing with ART is it doesn't involve a lot of talking. So for people that are tired of having to retell their story, because that too is re-traumatizing, you don't have to do that. Your brain does all the work, is what I say, and it's also a really quick way to get that relief. In an hour, you can find so much relief.
That's what I was going to say, is that this accelerated program really helps yield fast results, and it's perfect for the people that don't want to go back and talk about it and over-visit it, because I think that's what prevents a lot of people from seeking the help they need.
Absolutely.
So let's say you have abandonment issues. You don't want to go back to those days. But you don't want to find yourself lashing out at great people in your life because you're still holding on to that trauma. So I'm so glad you came to share this program, and I'm so glad that it's readily available through McNulty.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, for more information, you can visit McNultyCounseling.com, and we'll be back with more Bloom right after this.